Oh, right. Doing all kinds of stuff. Getting things done. Getting things done. Oh, yeah. Walking around town, being that guy. Ooh, it's rough. People working in a bank with the mask on. That's an ironic moment. They're looking out of the bank at you with a mask on. But I gotta admit, isn't that a sign of the times where the bankers are masked up looking at you out the window with suspicion? Isn't that a sign of the times? All right, so there was something that came up because of a replicant fish thing that was actually a really good thing, where this young woman, she's in her 20s, so this makes sense. It actually makes a lot of sense. You wouldn't know this. Was talking about criticizing the term modern woman, but she didn't realize what the term modern was referring to. And this is rarely, actually, it is kind of an odd thing to know what that reference is. And she actually even touches then on, is what you want then old-timey? And she didn't realize the term she was looking for was traditional rather than modern, because she didn't realize the term she was referring to, modern woman, refers to really a very specific kind of socio-political and quasi-theological term of the modern period. And I guess this is something coming from being a modernist. And so you don't have this social group anymore. Like, this subculture does not exist among young people anymore. So I could understand why people would be confused by the term. And really, a lot of women should know this, that when you look back and you see women with kind of say goth women, well, there's another thing that a lot of women associate with something like punk rock and something like goth. What they're really referring to are mods. When I was younger, we referred to the people who liked modern rock, Depeche Mode, the Smiths, Morrissey, stuff like that. We referred to them as the mods. They weren't into rap music. They weren't into necessarily R&B, but they would be into, say, like Sam Cooke. Like, they would know. So they were into oldies, is what we would say. We would say they were into oldies. They would wear like clothes from like army surplus. The girls would wear Doc Marten baby doll shoes. Some of them would wear Doc Marten boots, but at that time, the Doc Marten baby doll shoes, that was the big look. T-strapped or double-strapped baby dolls. Some women would really do it up and would really like dress up. They would be like, they would wear very often dresses, sweaters, sweater vests. They look old-fashioned in a way, but that's to people now, to women who dress very poorly and really, to a generation that fundamentally dresses poorly. This was what also people would call retro at another time. Like back in like the 2000s, somebody might say, oh, that's retro. But no, the reference is to the modernists and their way that they dress, which was significantly different than to a generation before. So when she's talking about, oh, do you mean a submissive wife like in the 1950s? This is also a weird perception of what the 1950s were for a lot of the world. A lot of the modern world, psychology existed in the 1950s, and everyone owned psychology books if they had kids. It was actually the first generation, like after World War II, really actually even after World War I, you started to see child-rearing books. World War II and on, the idea of raising your child according to a psychologist's advice columns for women in newspapers, but psychology books were a huge deal to raise your kids according to the tenets of books on psychology since the 40s has been totally normal for literate American people who are literate, oh my God, this fucking place closed. Holy shit, dude. Okay, I need to show, because some of you will instantaneously understand the ramifications of seeing this. 3 garage doors. Look at that. 1, 2, 3 arrays of windows. Oh, more. I'm sorry. Am I not really showing you? Firestone. This went all the way and wrapped around the corner and is a corner building. Look at this. That's an old corner building. So that's solid. That is a solid building. I did not see these people move out. I did not see Firestone move out of here. This is a major city in Oregon, no longer can support a tire company in the center of town. They have had to move to Valley River Center, a dead mall, to deal because of it. So here we go. Boom. Look at the fucking size of this. So you could see the lights. That's deep. That's multiple cars deep. And it's all gone. Like everything. Yeah, it's all just now, it's just like the smallest number of people, like, to monitor somebody not fucking with the site. So to get you an idea of how Oregon's really doing. So modern really refers to the reference is actually to the earliest 1900s. So one of the key things about this is the advent of when socialism as an ideology on future governments becomes a big thing. You start to see a lot of the sci-fi writing of most people are familiar with come up about this time. So a lot of people are theorizing about what the future type of governance of the world would be, because remember, Italy wasn't a quote-unquote country until World War II. It was a bunch of this kind of quasi-self-governing regions. This was true. The map of Europe was totally different. These are people I would have grown up around. They would have seen a world with a totally different map. The world they saw vanish was the traditional world. So this is a world where people actually remembered ancestral songs. They practiced their ancestral religions. Most of the norms of winning yourself a wife, and that she was loyal and had like her duties and the man had his duties, and it was relatively understood, that kind of thing. But it was a way of seeing the world. The modern period changed fundamentally a lot of the cosmology and cosmology, if I remember right, of how people saw the human. So this is where I always talk about how the liberal view will fail, because the traditional view of people is informed by many, many more generations of experience, while the liberal idea is modern. So really what it is you just give people fundamentally what they like or what they want, and you incentivize good behavior. You can incentivize the behavior you want. And we're finding out, no, you at some point must punish the behavior you do not want. And not only punish it, but sometimes you must eliminate people from society who practice behaviors you don't want. Because they simply won't stop unless they know that you will punish them with violence. Now, that's very much the quote-unquote traditional view. So when people say the modern view, or modern women, or modern this, and then they say the traditional view, those are the two kinds of views. An example of the two views of the world. This does not mean you have a submissive wife. That never, where this idea comes from women really speaks volumes. One, it speaks volumes that they have no women who can explain to them the world in any accurate terms before their own lifetime. That's not odd. The idea that fundamentally only that which is novel and kind of novel, incipient, vain, shallow, vapid, and in fashion concerning women rather than actual history or wisdom, real wisdom, that which is remembered by a culture and passed on. It makes sense that at this point, like, because it's the way an effeminate mind would work, a childish, like a girl's mind of the age of 12, of complete self-importance, being sass-mouthed, being sassy, having no capacity to really do anything for other people. So it's just a lot of self-concern. That's the thing about modern women, is that they won't help their family in the long run. They are not doing that which will, in 20 years, will pay off. That's the other part about modern people, modern women. What they are doing won't pay off in 10 years. They don't know how to think 20 years ahead. That is the traditional and conservative view. 20 years ahead, because 20 years happens a lot faster than you think. That's not a modern idea. Modernists are lost in the drug-induced haze of the present. They're vapid. That which is novel concerns them. Being self-interested concerns them. This is also why they don't like punishing crime, because they believe in the immediacy of the childish and effeminate mind. I want it now. They think that that's completely valid. You know, like, I want the bread, so I'm going to riot and burn stuff down. That's how AOC literally describes it. People need bread, so they riot and burn down people's buildings. This is an effeminate, self-centered way of arguing. It's dishonest, it's childish, it's a cheating girlfriend. It's a typical lying mother who can't deal with the fact that she hasn't socialized her kid right or hasn't been socialized right. And so that's really one of a little encapsulation about the difference between the modern and what the term is traditional. That's really the opposed term. This is why it's like, for some of us who we actually know something, I gotta get my mask on, know something about sort of traditional kind of various traditional cultures, that we think it's kind of funny, the argument that we should be more like something other than the traditional West, because it's like, do you know how those people behave? Who do you want to act like? So that was just some thoughts I had that I based off of that post. Thanks, Replicant Fish.